Hey, so I literally just got in from LA, flying home. I am back now in the friendly confines of Oakland, California. And what a performance by the Ducks in the LA Coliseum, defeating USC 62 to 51. That's the most points and the most yards ever put up on a USC team, and they did it in their house. A legendary, historic offensive performance. We'll get to that. We'll start with the defense. Clearly not an ideal performance, giving up 51 points. A lot of issues with this one, tackling, allowing USC's playmakers to get in space, and they're most dangerous when they're in space. I mean, Marquise Lee is just unreal good, and I'm really glad that we don't have to face him in the regular season ever again. The only way we will see USC from here on out in Marquise Lee's career is in the Pac-12 championship game. So that's comforting. There were some positives that I took from this game. Despite giving up the 51 points, USC had the ball for 13 drives. They scored on 8 of them. But there were some positives. Oregon was able to force 3 turnovers, including what I think is the biggest play of the game, the biggest single play of the game, and that was Dion Jordan's strip of Marquise Lee right at the end of the second quarter. The Trojans were driving down the field. We're going to cut it to a one-score game going into halftime, and we're going to get the ball back at the start of the second half to tie or take the lead. Dion Jordan strips a very, very good player of the ball, which is a near impossible thing to do. Oregon recovers. The lead stays 10 points. As it turns out, USC got the ball at the start of the second half, drove down for a touchdown, cut it to 3. But that is as close as the Trojans will get, and it's a direct result of that play by Dion Jordan. So that's really, in a game of offensive fireworks, that defensive play is the single biggest play of the entire game. As well as we can take a look at the last drives for USC in the fourth quarter. Forcing that punt, we were waiting the entire second half. Who was going to get the first stop in the second half? It turns out it was the Oregon defense getting that stop, forcing Lane Kiffin to punt. He was near midfield, if I remember correctly. I think he was in somewhere around his 45 or something like that. It was a situation where he could have gone for it, chose to punt. Oregon comes right back down the field and scores. So maybe something that Lane Kiffin might want to rethink in the future is being a little bit more aggressive, especially when your defense wasn't stopping anything. 730 yards of offense. But the story from this game, Kenjon Barner with the greatest rushing performance in Oregon history. 321 yards on 38 carries, 5 touchdowns. It was just an absolute gem of a performance. Left it all out on the field. His last few carries, he was absolutely gassed. Someone was having to peel him off of the turf at the end of every play, but then he would summon the strength as soon as the ball was snapped to run around guys and get into the end zone. It was an absolutely remarkable performance and a remarkable story from a kid who started his Oregon career as sort of an under-the-radar defensive back prospect to he's on his way and will almost certainly become the number 2 rusher in Oregon history behind only LaMichael James after spending his first 3 years as a backup. And in his only year as a starter, he's made the most of the opportunity. He's in the record books with one of the best rushing performances in college football history. No running back had ever gotten close to a performance like that against USC. It was just amazing to watch. The offensive line had its best game of the year. Huge holes. 273 yards before contact for Kenjon Barner, which is a ridiculous stat. Absolutely ridiculous stat. The offensive line played great, was opening up huge holes. The wide receivers, that was their best blocking game of the year. Will Murphy, Braylon Addison, Josh Huff, Dwayne Stanford, everybody out there just, sealing off those edges, letting Barner get to the outside. It was an offensive clinic to watch. So the story of the game, Barner, it overshadows a bit a very good performance from Marcus Mariota. 20 of 23 for 304 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Also had 96 yards rushing. The kid is legit. and he's only a freshman. These next couple of years are going to be real fun with Mariota at the helm, and I think we're only seeing the beginnings of what he can do at the quarterback position for the Ducks. This week, Oregon turns its attention to another road test, the California Golden Bears. This game has been sneaky, weird, not so fun for Oregon lately. 2 years ago, 2010, was that infamous 15-13 game where Cal's defense just solved the puzzle of Oregon's offense, shut them down, held them to one offensive touchdown. And if it wasn't for a Giorgio Tavecchio false start and then subsequent missed field goal, Oregon might have lost that game. So, and then going back before that, 2008 was the monsoon game. 2006, Dennis Dixon walks in, sees yellow uniforms, and that team actually absolutely got lit up. So Memorial Stadium has not been kind to Oregon in the past. So hopefully this year's Duck team can come in and sort of put that streak to rest against a Cal team that's reeling, losing their starting quarterback, Zach Maynard, to a nasty-looking leg injury against Washington. They are out of bowl contention. Jeff Tedford on the hot seat, on the very hot seat. He might not survive this offseason. So it'll be interesting to see how Oregon comes out and responds. They've been all business out of the gate so far this season. I don't expect that to change. But there's some sort of voodoo going around Berkeley for the Ducks, and hopefully it isn't there on Saturday night. So stay tuned to Addicted to Quack all week for Oregon Cal news and analysis. Go Ducks. This is Takimoto. I'll see you next time.